Like I say, there is no real Christ. It was a cup. It's the Christ cup. There was a cup a long time ago. It had some blood or saliva on it. And they said, it has the Lord's DNA on it. And it was actually Nixon or somebody else like that, or JFK. It's how JFK was trying to have legitimacy, is JFK or Jimmy Carter or some pope, whatever, was trying to say that they have the cup and it has his DNA on it. But it really didn't. It was really a lie. So anyway, and they actually got the DNA sample. They're like, see, and it's like, that was from a blood draw, and that's from a blood draw. You don't get that many whatevers from saliva, even if you did have saliva, which you really can't tell much from saliva. It's a lie. So anyway, you can tell something maybe. I don't really know. I don't really care, but mostly it's a lie. Anyway, what was I going to say? Oh yeah, the LS Titanic. The LS Titanic. Yeah, they used to have this big cup they used to worship this cup in the if you went to the Vatican and walked in, there was this cup, golden cup, that was supposedly the cup of the Lord. It wasn't. It was a cup that came from, it actually came from the Romanov family, which really wasn't the Romanov family. It was actually the Star family or whatever. Oh man, this beautiful woman, and there was this handsome guy, and they had these gorgeous children, and they all wore white, and they had parades, and she would act out. Like I said, she played this wicked witch every Halloween. Oh, she was gorgeous. And I was looking at her, and I was looking at her picture, and she was this gorgeous girl, and I was like, you know what? Let's shorten the skirt. I mean, she looked gorgeous in this long skirt, and I was like, let's shorten the skirt. And they kind of she was a little embarrassed actually of it, but she looked like edible. Like she was the sexy, gorgeous witch girl that would do this play in what's called in Russia. And she would the Romanov family, they would give out presents every Christmas, and she would dress up as this witch, and she was this incredibly gorgeous woman. I was like, wow. Yeah. I outdid myself there. She was absolutely perfect and amazing. Anyway, though, Rasputin, of course, he was this druggy like opium dependent guy that would shoot up, and he had all these pussy cysts that would appear on his body. And I think he would actually inject the opium into the pussy cyst or something like that. Ugh, disgusting. Anyway, he had about 50 other really, really disgusting guys. Like I said, they would have like these. It would actually be the funny thing is when the cyst popped, it would leave this star-shaped scar on their face. I'm serious. Like there was all these people walking around, and they had these star-shaped because the cyst would be so huge, and they would pop and go. It would leave this hole that would have all these lines going into it, and it would be star-shaped. It'd be like, it'll be in there like really hard. Actually, it's like this, and like it's a huge hole. Going into her skin, it looks like a big star going round and round and round. Oh my God, so disgusting, so disgusting. Anyway, yeah, because I guess they would inject into their cheeks with the opium, and they would inject all over their body, and they'd get these huge cysts, and they would go. God, disgusting, so disgusting. Anyway, and I gave them a needle steamer. You know, I gave them a steaming cleaning thing and the Romanov thing, so they could actually take their needles in, and they could actually go get them cleaned, and they would be sanitary and clean. And we even had needle sharpeners and all that other stuff to sharpen the needles back up. And the needles were made out of titanium or something really, really strong. Anyway, or some sort of really strong metal, and they'd be really sharp and stuff like that, so they wouldn't hurt themselves. And plus they could take their needles in and clean them, but they would share needles and all kinds of stuff, and they would get all these cysts and it is in Russia. It's really disgusting. And finally, eventually, they stole the lab where the opium was refined, or the methamphetamine or something, and they stole it to some other country or something, and finally left or something like that. And then they tried to come back in mass or something and try and raid the castle, and they're like, they won't shoot us. They would run up to my guys, expecting that my guards wouldn't shoot them, and then they would start clubbing my guards. And it's like my guards are like, you know what? Because they would just run at my guards in mass and expect them not to shoot because we're not armed, and then they would get to my guards and go and like kick, and then they would take the guns and then they would go now we are, and they were just these psycho people, and so my guards were just like, you know what, and they just start shooting. Because they're gonna, they're just gonna club my guys, and then they're going to, but they'd run up to my guys going, we're not armed. Hey! Boom, 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 boom. They just start beating and wailing on my guys. Anyway, but they would do this in Russia. They're these druggies guys. Anyway, that was what was going on. So that's what they would do, is they would run up. Anyway, they're on film. Yeah, I shouldn't release this video, but the truth of what happened in Russia is these guys were like, we're not armed, and they'd run up to my guys. Anyway, and then they would start punching my guys, and then they would take the guns and start shooting them, and they would shoot everybody else. But like I said, my guards only had 4 rounds in the clips. So, and then they had like 5 or 6 clips, and the guys couldn't even get the clips changed inside the guns. It'd be like, because there's a special locking mechanism or something. We had some sort of locking mechanism, and if you didn't know how to work it, you couldn't take out the clip. So some of the early guns, they had this special little way you have to press these tabs or whatever, and then you could take the clip out. Otherwise, you couldn't take the clip out. So unless you were one of my guards, you really didn't know how to take the clip out of the gun. So, and my guards would always have 5 or 6 clips, and my guards could go and just like change out the clips really fast. But when the guys are like on my guards, then they would take the guns and they would shoot like 4 rounds, and then they would sit there and go, can't get the clip out, and they couldn't get the clip out. So and then my guards would just be like, just shooting these guys, and this is what happened in Russia. So anyway, so that happened in Russia. I don't know, 1800, 1700, something like that. Anyway, I was around. That's when the one guy was assassinated, or they nearly assassinated the one guy. That was Rasputin. Rasputin was trying to work for me, and I was like, no. You're psycho. No. So he had to find his own money and his own weapons, and had to go after my Romanovs some other way. My Romanovs, they were beautiful, gorgeous people. They had everything they ever wanted. I mean, they were rich, and they were smart, and they worked really hard. So... and they weren't really Romanovs. It was actually some other family. I forget what the name of the family was, but they were gorgeous, and they were on camera, so everyone knew them, everyone loved them, And Rasputin was just a psycho guy. Like I said, he was caught in a he used his drug money to rent these auditoriums, and then he would go and talk about the Romanovs or talk about these other people, and he would talk all this shit. He'd be like, they're blah 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 blah, and people would just walk out because he would be like the play of whatever, and then he would actually be getting up there and he'd be like blah blah blah, and then he would hand out his opium or whatever like that to the audience, and and a lot of people would say the opium bags were still on the ground. Nobody wanted that shit. Everyone knew what it would do, and no one wanted it. Anyway, he thought he was some sort of big shot or whatever. Anyway, and he was going after. Anyway, there were 50 there were 50 Rasputins. So anyway, yeah. Anyway, whatever. I'm Lucifer Star. Anyway, and he was just some piece of shit trying to whatever. Eventually, he'd be I think he started. It was actually the Rasputins. They would take respites. He had these respite rooms where you'd go and relax and you do opium. Basically, he was just a druggie, that thought he was big time, whatever. and he would just pay, and he would pay for people to be shot or killed.